On February 23, 2026, IBM stock cratered 13.2%, its worst single-day drop in 25 years. The culprit? A blog post from Anthropic claiming their AI can now automate COBOL modernization. $40 billion in market value, gone overnight because an AI can write some code. But writing code was never the problem. Anthropic claims Claude code can map COBOL dependencies and translate logic into modern languages, compressing timelines from years to quarters. And that actually sounds impressive, but there's a critical gap that they don't address. COBOL systems in banking process an estimated 95% of US ATM transactions. We're talking about systems handling trillions of dollars daily, governed by SOX, Basel III, PCI DSS, and GDPR. Anthropic is selling a technical solution to what is fundamentally a governance problem. In financial services, any code change requires approval from a change advisory board mandated by regulators. That board includes IT operations, security, risk management, and compliance teams. Every change needs standardized risk assessment, security impact analysis, complete audit trails, and post-implementation review. Claude can generate all the Java code at once. None of that code runs in production without human approval at multiple organization levels. And that approval process takes months, not minutes. And it gets worse for the AI replaces mainframes narrative. IBM mainframes operate under some of the most stringent security certifications in tech. We're talking RACF security administrators with 50+ hours of rigorous training. These systems have authority to operate under FISMA. They've been through NIST framework implementation. They're cryptographically validated and battle tested for decades. AI-generated code has zero of that. It hasn't passed security audits. It starts from scratch on the compliance timeline. And during migration, data exposure risks spike. One breach doesn't just delay your timeline. It triggers regulatory investigations and potential criminal liability for executives. Now, add the knowledge gap. These systems have run for 30, 40, sometimes 50 years. Original documentation? Lost. Business logic? Buried in code written by developers who retired decades ago. Here's a real scenario. A bank migrates its interest accrual calculation to a modern platform. Post-migration, the numbers don't match the legacy system. Why? The business rules aren't documented anywhere. They're in the heads of retired programmers. An analyst has to manually trace variables through thousands of lines of COBOL across multiple modules to find out. Claude can translate the syntax. However, it cannot interview retired developers. It cannot determine whether a discrepancy is a migration error or a legitimate difference in business logic that no current employee understands. AI doesn't solve the knowledge gap. It just lets you fail faster. Here's the irony. IBM already has an AI-powered COBOL to Java tool, watsonx Code Assistant for Z, launched in 2023. And their CEO recently reported IBM's highest mainframe revenue in 20 years. Why? Because even with AI assistants, companies aren't abandoning mainframes. They're using AI to enhance them, not replace them. The market panic reveals how little Wall Street understands enterprise infrastructure. They're treating COBOL like it's a WordPress plugin that needs an update. The real danger isn't the stock price. It's that C-suite executives at banks and insurers might actually believe this hype and push for AI-driven modernization without understanding the compliance cliff that lies ahead of them. We saw this with cloud migration. Lift and shift ran straight into the reality that mainframe batch jobs don't just translate to serverless functions. Data formats corrupt in transit, and compliance framework don't cover distributed architectures. The result was hybrid approaches that kept core transaction processing on mainframes anyway, not because companies love COBOL, but because the risk of full migration exceeds the benefit. And Claude doesn't change that calculus. So here's the takeaway. Anthropic built a better screwdriver and they declared they could rebuild your whole house. But banking infrastructure isn't held together by screws. It's held together by decades of regulatory cement, security protocols, and institutional knowledge that no AI can circumvent. The COBOL problem was never about syntax. It was about governance. Until Claude can sit in change advisory board meeting, explain business logic to auditors, and sign off on SOX compliance documentation, it's just automating the least important things. That is not modernization. That's more code someone still has to certify, approve, and take liability for. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit like and subscribe. What do you think? Is the market overreacting to AI hype, or is this the beginning of the end for mainframes? Drop your thoughts below. I'll see you in the next one.